Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the Jazwares Halo Spartan Collection Jerome 092 figure. This is part of Series 2. You can tell because it says the 2 right there, and you get the other reissue of Master Chief, and this guy, and this guy, and this guy. These have been out for a while, but I never saw them until just now when Series 4 and 3 hit the shelves, so that's kind of strange. But this is a pretty solid figure. It does some of the things best out of all the line, and some other things not so well. But we're going to talk about all of it. So let's go ahead and get him off the stand and take a closer look. This guy stands just shy of 19 centimeters, which makes him pretty close to 7.5 inches. And if you want to see a quick comparison against the Series 1 Master Chief, which is the one I recommend to everybody, they are just about the same height, give or take here and there. So there you go. All right, before we get into the review, though, let's do a quick question of the day. How do you guys feel about Halo Wars? Did you enjoy the gameplay? Did you enjoy the story? Where do you fall on that? I like the story a lot. Gameplay is not really my thing, but it was fun enough. All right, let's go ahead and talk about the aesthetics on this guy. I have to say they did a good job getting the overall really bulky, broad look of the upper body done, and then the lower body being a lot more streamlined. That's what the Spartans looked like in Halo Wars. The thing that's throwing me off, it makes the head look kind of big. I don't think the head actually is too big. I think it's just the fact that the shoulder pad should be much higher up and more like over the shoulder. I'll see if I can do a Photoshop of that so you guys can see it. But this big one especially, it's definitely too far low out and too low. It doesn't look right. And I think that's making the head look too big or too high. But it's hard for me to say because without the shoulder pads where they belong, anything would make the head look too big because he's wearing a helmet. So it's a little weird. But we do have some really nice paintwork on this guy. The chest detail, obviously the detail stuff is good, but then they went in here and did a good job with a variety of colors. This is painted. The whole torso is painted very nicely. The stripe here, the stripe on the head, the Spartan logo on the shoulder. This guy's got a lot of nice detail work that we don't see on the others. His dry brushing of silver on top of the green is very subtle. It almost just makes the green look metallic rather than having silver dry brushing. Actually, it looks like it's more of a wash or a weird dry brushing because there's like kind of puddles here and there. But either way, it looks really nice. Important thing to note, we have the chrome visor, which looks excellent, and we have the little lights lit up or painted white. That looks really good. I think it looks excellent. There's a lot to like about the way this figure is handled, and the sculpt work is phenomenal. Lots of nice clean details throughout. Very, very pleased with the aesthetic on that front. Like I said, if we could rearrange the shoulder pads a little bit, that'd be great, but otherwise I think it looks pretty good. The one thing I will note though is he has no crotch really, and I know that sounds weird and you're not going to get what I'm saying, but he has the cod piece there. Can I get some more light in here maybe? No, I can't. Yeah, it's kind of recessed. It's very cavernous in there. And that's the thing, is the hips don't fill in the crotch area, and he doesn't have any like undersuit crotch, so it's just the cod piece and then the hips, which are leaving quite a big gap. So it looks strange in a neutral stance. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it with the lights being the way they are. But it looks very strange in the neutral stance, but once you pose him, it looks fine, so I'm not that worried about it, but I do have to point it out because he has a very small crotch compared to Chief, and Chief has bigger thighs compared to him. So Chief's crotch doesn't look anywhere near as weird as his crotch. That's a tongue twister. Okay, so all things considered, it does look really good. Few gripes. I'm going to give this one an 8 out of 10. For a $20 figure, this thing looks nice. Okay, as far as accessories go, we get the 2 fist hands, 2 gripping hands, 2 wide open hands, and 1 2-finger pointy hand. However, none of the hands have the armor plate painted. How did that happen? That shouldn't be. Every other Master Chief, or at least all of the Master Chiefs I've looked at, have them painted. I don't know if anyone else does. But those need to be painted. It's not okay. That's just not okay, straight out. Okay, so we do get the pistol and the shotgun. Shotgun looks pretty cool. Pistol also looks pretty good. Nothing special here, but they do look nice enough. I like that. I will note the weapon, or at least the sidearm, can go in here. This piece pops off. I guess I can just show you if I can get it off quickly. So that piece pops off. You flip it around, stick it back in, and you have your weapon peg. I love that. I think they did a really good thing with that. The whole idea behind this is awesome. I never thought about doing it that way. I like it. And then also you get it back here. This piece pops off, flip it around, you can put the shotgun on his shoulder or on his back, and you can put a sidearm here if you want to. That's pretty cool. I like that a lot. Accessory wise, other than them not being painted, it's fine, but they're not painted, so generous 7 out of 10. They need paint on those armor plates. I don't need every finger painted, but at least the plates. Come on. But every finger should be painted too, because if I remember correctly, these guys have armored fingers. and it looks like it's sculpt-wise that they do, so I think I'm right about that. But, okay, we'll move on. As far as articulation goes, the head can look up very nicely, it can look down very nicely, and it can look side to side. I do feel like it sits a little bit high, so I don't think it is just the shoulder pads. I think the head's a little bit high, but it's not too bad. We do have the butterfly joint, sort of, the same way as the Series 1 Master Chief, sort of. I'll show you Chiefs just in case. So this guy had the whole black part of his undersuit able to move, which is pretty cool. I couldn't get Series 3 or 4 to do it. This guy does have it, so I'm assuming that it's either intentional or not intentionally there. It doesn't really serve much purpose on this guy, but it is there, so that's kind of cool. You can raise the arms up to just about horizontal, a little bit more, I suppose, and you get your full rotation, except for they put a tab up here to fill in the shoulder a little bit, so you can't raise the arms up too high, just about horizontal, unless you want them to go out to the side. So be aware of that. You do get your bicep swivel, and that's fine. Double jointed elbow, it's only a little bit better than 90. Chiefs works way better, and this is about a little bit better than the Halo 2 Master Chief in Series 4, but the Series 1 Chief, well, all of the Infinite Chiefs have really nice elbows. Okay, for the torso, it's the same situation. We have virtually no range. It leans back just a touch. Side to side is nothing. Rotation is essentially nothing. This design right here doesn't freaking work. It would if this accounted for range of motion. Like, at least they took the key out for this one, so it can technically rotate a little bit. There's no key in there to hold it in place, but it just fits so snugly into that body that it can't rotate. And then this giant ball peg, let me show you guys. If you didn't see the other reviews, I want you to see this one. I'm so afraid I'm gonna break this. Like, that's all the range you could want front and back, but they didn't do a great job side to side, but it still freaking works, because ball pegs are the bread and butter of torso articulation. But the way they did it, please don't break. The way they did it, this thing prevents basically any range from having any range. There's nothing there once you snap it together. It's super, super limited, so that's terrible. For the hips, like I said, there's a huge gap in there, but you can bring them all the way up, so that's fine. Not quite as good as Halo 2 Master Chief, so I'm not sure why they needed that gap. And the legs are so far back into the ass area that bringing them out to the side doesn't really work. The hip armor here hits the ass armor here, and we have a giant gap in space up there, so I'm not sure what they were doing with that. It doesn't work that well. Luckily, if you want to put them in like a running pose or even like a just dynamic stance pose, it'll work just fine. You do get a thigh swivel, that's nice. The knees on this guy are nowhere near as terrible as some of the other releases. These are closer to the Series 1 Master Chief release, where you have the knee tucks in up here and bends down here, and the leg pieces are very close together, so even though the knee is kind of ugly, and chunks of plastic are apparently shaving off in there, I don't know what's going on. It's kind of ugly, but it's definitely acceptable. That is okay. It's far better than the Halo 2 Master Chief, which is an abomination of a knee joint. Check that review out. It's either on my channel now or it will be soon, depending on when I upload. Alright, so let's look at the ankles. They go all the way back, which is excellent, and they go really far forward, which is excellent. You get a decent enough ankle rocker, and you get a decent enough toe joint. So no complaints on the ankles there. So it really just comes down to the torso not working, and the hips being weird, and the knees being fine. So it's not bad. I'll give it a 7 out of 10 for articulation for a $20 figure with this much sculpt work and everything. It looks good, but the head does appear to be sitting too high, and the shoulder pads are too low, and the hips are weird. Like, there's lots of weird stuff going on, but it's pretty cool otherwise, and once you pose it, it's gonna look fine. You can pose away a lot of the problems. So I'm gonna give this guy an 8 out of 10. Overall, there's a lot to like about this figure. It's really good in a lot of ways. It does have a lot of flaws, but at the price point, I think they're acceptable enough that an 8 out of 10 is warranted. So there it is, guys. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, you might want to. I have new videos almost every single day, and thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.